Hello and welcome, Katie here from Eastwick's Paper and Ink. Thanks so much for joining me today here on Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. Today we're going to be creating a really simple Mother's Day card, and what's great about this is you don't have to be perfect with it. We're just doing some ink swiping and a little simple die cutting to create this Mother's Day card. So we're going to pop down to the desk and we're going to talk about some of the products we're going to use. So for the paper, I'm going to use a really smooth cardstock. So this is actually Hammermill's 100-pound weight cardstock. This is used a lot for hot foiling. But it's really good for this particular technique that we're going to do because there's no texture to the cardstock. With regular heavyweight, accent opaque, or Nina 110-pound, there is a little bit of texture to it. In fact, I probably could show you. This could be that one. Oh, yeah, these ones here. So these I was just screwing around with some of the technique, but you see the little bumps that are happening here. Make sure you're in view. That's from that particular cardstock. Now, my test sample that I did with the Nina 100 or with the Hammermill 100-pound is you get it very subtly. It's not as pronounced, which makes it a lot easier to rub your ink pad over, and you get more of these line definitions that spread and blend out the ink color. So that's what we're going to do, and why I'm using a super smooth cardstock. Now, Hammermill's not the only one. Cougar makes one. I'll link that up that you can pick up at cutcardstock.com. The die I'm going to use is this Divine Peony. I haven't had a chance to use it, so I'm excited to get to use it today. And the stamps for the Mother's Day card sentiment that I'm going to use is from the Greetery, To Mom with Love. Now, one thing, if you've never watched any of my videos, is I like to make cards that can be used for other things. So if you don't celebrate Mother's Day for whatever reason, or you don't have to make it a Mother's Day card, you can use this for a birthday, a sympathy card, a thinking of you card. So just keep that in mind as we're moving along, and just remember this is more about the technique than it is and in the end the design, because it's very simple design as we go forward in the video. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to actually cut a frame out of some black cardstock, so it's going to be a nice thin frame. These are the Essentials Rectangles by Ellen Hudson, and I know a lot of people know that her website closed down, but she does still carry her Essentials by Ellen line on Amazon. She's got an Amazon store, and so I'll link these up over there too, because what I love about it is you can see that this gives you layers from 5 1/4 or 5.5 by 4 1/4. But it gives you the frame. So I don't know what I do with I think I left my cutouts downstairs. It gives you the rectangle cutout, but it also die cuts a thin frame like this along with it. But what's great about it is you get both sides. So you get each layer depending on your layering panel, how you've trimmed your main card panel. So you can create a whole bunch of different frames and individual panels, layering panels, which is great. And the inks. Let's talk about the inks, because these are Memento inks. A lot of people have them. I'm going to use Angel Pink, Rosebud, Tangelo, and a little bit of Ladybug. And for my paper, I talked about my main panel for our ink swiping that we're going to do, but the floral is going to be actually cut out, and I have it just flipped over on the die. It's a classic pearl linen. So this is using specialty cardstocks, a nice way to elevate your card making, especially for a simple design. You can use something that gives you a very subtle shimmer like this, and you don't have to have a bunch of different colors. It allows your focal image and your background to be able to stand out. So you can kind of see, I hope it picks it up, the light, the shimmer that's in here. There's a little bit of texture to it because it's kind of that linen pattern. So really, really fun. Okay, let's start inking. And I'm going to start inking. I'm going to ink the left-hand side of the panel because that's just the way it's easier for me to get the right strokes in. But I'm actually going to end up flipping the panel around. Now, my angel pink is on its last legs here. I tried to get a re-inker a while ago, but I didn't have any success there with that. And of course, you don't have to use Memento inks, but you can use VersaFine Clara inks. You have to be a little bit careful with those because it's bigger. They're bigger pads. I find the dewdrops, the smaller cubes, work really, really well to give you better control. And what I'm doing is I'm just gently skimming. In some places I get a little bit of the teardrop in there, but that's okay. And then I'm going to come in with a little ladybug, just a little bit. What this does is it keeps it blended as we add color. And I'm going to go back over with a little bit more rosebud. And because these are dye inks, it'll take just a little time for them to dry in to the panel and lighten up like it is here. So you can see that's considerably lighter. So as this blends and fades in and dries into the cardstock, it'll lighten up. All right, so I'm gonna stretch these a little bit more. And I like felt pads better for this technique simply because it gives you a little bit of resistance. You don't use quite as much ink, I don't think, as the sponge. I call them sponge, but you know, the new ink pads that are out now that all the companies are using. I just find you get a little bit better control with the felt pad. Now, this card panel measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I would recommend starting off, if you make 5 by 7 cards, start off with your normal size that you would use. In this case, I'm making A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That way you see how bold this line is here from us adding it to the paper. We can go ahead and trim that away. And I'm only going to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side. So that's just something to keep in mind. Don't start with your panel already trimmed. In some techniques you want to do that. This one, not so much. Okay. Now, oh, there's one other thing that I forgot to tell you we're going to use, and that is our Sheer Shimmer Sparkle. Okay, and we don't have to let this dry or anything like that. It's okay if we get some splatter. I'm going to give it a shake, get all our stuff mixed up there. It's one of my favorite products. It's subtle. I showed you this, I think I showed you this panel that I did. I wanted to use that same linen cardstock that I cut the flower image out of, but it just was taking way too long to dry, even heat setting it. And I ended up taking a paper towel and wiping it away and blending it essentially a little bit more. And it took overnight to really dry on there. But I wanted to create that shimmer. So that Sheer Shimmer Sparkle is a great way to do that. Hopefully the camera's picking some of that up. Okay, so we got to set this off to the side to dry because we do need that to, you can kind of see that it bends the cardstock a little bit with the moisture, but it doesn't take too long for that Sheer Shimmer Spray to dry. Okay, so let's put our flower together. This is really easy. Another reason that I chose this floral die cut, because there's a lot of parts here, it seems, right? But it's just because they put it all on one die, which makes it really nice. Flick that away there. And you get a couple different center pieces depending on what you you know, what you want the center to look like. If you want it with the dots or the just a smooth center. Okay, get these guys out of here. They don't want to let go. All right. I think that's all our pieces. Oh wait, you know what? I'm missing one. I know it picked up. Let me see. Well, I'm going to put these together, but I am missing a little piece, the little bud piece, but okay, so we're actually going to use all three of these pieces here. This is our stem, this is our centerpiece, a little liquid glue. Oh, what the heck happened to that piece? All right, a little liquid glue in the center here. It's going to turn up when I'm, oh, there it is. I think it's right there at my feet on the floor. Okay, so this we just got to line up. Fill in those gaps in between. Okay, a little bit of glue in the center here. Put this little guy in. There we go. Okay, let me pick my piece up here. All right. And for this guy, it's probably pretty subtle on here, but there is like a little outline that you can use. Sometimes my cutting pads don't give enough pressure to give those pseudo score lines, but I put these together a couple different times, trying different colored cardstock that I had, specialty cardstock that I had. Okay, now this guy goes on our leaf right here at the bottom, so we're just going to put a little bit of glue down here. Well, it's nice once we get done putting this together, that panel is going to be dry. We're going to trim it up and we'll be able to get everything put together. I did a few things. I did the sentiment, I stamped and die cut that off camera just to save a little bit of time here in the video. And I think I'm going to use the little holy statement one for the center there. And I found that by putting the glue for our bud right here on that leaf bottom there, and then lining it up, make sure you guys can see that, okay. Lining it up there. And because this is a slippery kind of shimmery cardstock, it does take a second for that glue to dry, so just give it a moment. Okay. Now, this guy's pretty much dry, so I'm going to trim this up. Let's get our glue on there. We're going to put these guys up above us here. Get our trimmer. And I marked my 1/8 of an inch. See what end I want to take away from. Okay, let's do this guy. So I believe it'll measure 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. All right. So we're actually gonna flip that around. And what I like about this is the technique is so forgiving. So here's what I hadn't decided was if I wanted to put this down first. I think this guy's going to go, our frame is going to go first. And I did add some die cut and bond. It's double-sided adhesive. It's on a big roll. You can get those from different places. Scrapbook.com's got it. Scorepale's got it. Or Score Tape. Scorepale, I think is the company. And what I'm going to do first is just be careful setting this down, because I don't necessarily want it fully down. Okay. So I want to be able to tuck our leaves in to the bottom there. Okay, like that. And then we'll do some liquid glue to kind of adhere our floral image down. And this quick card, you know what, you can do a bunch of different color combinations for your swiping, your ink swiping, and really just make quick work of a bunch of different panels to be able to mass produce this type of card, which is nice. Now I went ahead and added some 1/8 of an inch foam strips. Spellbinders sells these also, to the back of our sentiment here. But you know what, let me go ahead and put some double-sided adhesive on the back, and we'll get it onto our card panel, or card base rather. I'm going to use some black cardstock as my card base, and I'll just use some white cardstock on the inside to be able to write a sentiment, write a note, and all that good stuff. I just think with these bold colors that the black cardstock is a much better option. Plus it'll go with our black frame and our sentiment. Make things a little bit easier. Okay. Card base 4 1/4, or it's A2 size, so it'll fit this 4 1/4 panel, or 4 1/8. But I cut it on the landscape side, so I cut it on the 11-inch side. All right, now pop our sentiment on. Oh, get enough glue back there. Oh, she didn't get no glue over there. All right. All right, and we're almost done. So be sure and check the description box below for the products used. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. And we'd be happy to have you here at Imagine. And also, if you're on my YouTube channel, Eastwick's Paper and Ink, we'd love to have you over there too. And that wraps it up. A little shimmer, a little shine, a little swiping, super easy, simple card making technique. And remember, you can always switch that Mother's Day sentiment out to whatever it is you like. This lends itself perfectly for sympathy, thinking of you, birthday, anything that you can think of for a sentiment. It doesn't have to be Mother's Day. All right, friends, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.